It is the end, folks. Not the end of Exhuming the X-Files. Oh no, we have what, 6 more seasons to go.
So much.
We have a lot more to go, but we have reached the end of season 5 of the X-Files, with the title of the episode being "The End." This is episode 20. Now, normally X-Files episodes have had, I think, around 22, 24 episodes per season, but of course, this season was kind of shortened because they were filming Fight the Future, the X-Files movie, which we will be covering very, very soon. So, Jeremy, I know this entire season, you were kind of, at the beginning of the season, you were like, man, I remember the X-Files movie was so good. The build-up, getting to that. And then as we started watching this season, you started going like, actually, maybe I'm not so excited to watch Fight the Future. Tell me about your thoughts. How are you feeling going into this final episode of season 5?
Well, it helped that the last few episodes were good, and it's wild looking at my list. The next one, the next one that we record here is our top five, bottom five, and I had them all listed from episode 1 through 20, and it's like crap, crap, forgettable, crap, crap, good, 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 crap, crap, crap. And we get to the end of the season here, and it's like they're all been tolerably good in a season that has had some fairly bad episodes.
Yeah.
So, with the hostage or sorry, the Mulder undercover one, then followed by the Night Good Monster of the Week one. I was actually looking forward to, this being a good episode. I was ready for it, and I was excited about it.
Do you feel like, and maybe this would be a better question to ask after we've watched Fight the Future, but do you feel thus far that they've done a good job of building to the movie? Because I remember when we were kids, the movie for us was a huge deal. Like, the X Files has a movie coming out. Oh my God, this is a huge thing. I remember there being just, at least my memory was, there was a much bigger build to the movie, and it feels like, at least the last half of this season, there hasn't really been a build.
Yeah. Uh, Again, getting back to that list where I was flipping through it, there was a lot of two-parters in this season that involved the myth. And when I was a kid, it was much easier to get into those episodes, particularly with the last season and Mulder like being burned alive in a trailer full of aliens,
Yeah.
to him almost finding one, to this season where they had Scully's chip that they replanted in her neck in order to cure her cancer. Like, they had a lot of it this season. That as adults they were crap is, we we can't we can't really discount that they have been building up to this. It's just it's how we view it, or at least for me, how I'm viewing it through the lens of my childhood, where I just ate that shit up, versus how kind of weak it was as an adult. But
Okay. Fair.
getting here and looking forward to this, even as bad as these episodes were this season, it's still, I was still anticipating how good this is, and
Yeah.
I wasn't let down.
Typically speaking, the finales of an X Files season, they are bangers. They leave you on a very exciting cliffhanger. Typically, so yeah, I was also looking forward to the end. Let's talk about it. Let's see where this goes.
It starts in a place they were actually at, Vancouver. There's a stadium full of people at a hockey rink watching this child prodigy play a Russian in chess. And the Russian is just sweating. Like, he's going to lose to this kid. Meanwhile, there's some dude walking through the rafters because and starts assembling a sniper rifle because he's gonna assassinate this little kid. And so while it cuts to the kid's like looking around the stadium, then it's weird. You can hear all this like radio static, like he's tuning through a bunch of AM radio stations.
Yeah.
Like, he knows the assassin's there, but doesn't really zero in on him. But sure enough, right at the last second, as the sniper is about to take the shot, The kid is standing up, puts the dude in checkmate, sits down, and right as he sits down, the bullet passes over the kid's head, strikes the Russian in the chest. Then we get the title screen.
Yeah. Talk about the worst kind of checkmate you could possibly get. This kid just let this Russian die.
And it's not the only guy he gets killed in this episode.
No, this kid is arguably the greatest villain in X-Files history. He's just letting people die left and right. Yeah, what did you think of this cold open?
I was excited. I was ecstatic. Like, I let my little kid self, what I would have been probably 16, 17 years old. Little kid. Maybe 15. I can't remember how old I was back then, but I let that kid out to watch this episode, and he was eating it up because I know where it goes. Because again, this was a huge fucking deal when I was a kid. This episode ended on that Friday. The following Friday, the movie premiered in theaters, and then the Friday after that was the season premiere of season 6. And this episode, plus the movie, plus the beginning episode of season 6, was all one big storyline together. And even like you can tell that the quality of this episode, the shots that they use, how they choose to film things, it was very cinematic in order to prep you for the kind of what would be jarring in how they chose to film the film instead of it being like an episode was. It was, this whole episode was more like a movie. And I was ready. I was ready, Matt.
Sounds like it. By the way, this episode written by Chris Carter.
Well, yeah, I mean he's doing all of these episodes, isn't he? Anymore?
Well, he doesn't write all of them. No, he does not write all of them. But I think
all of the important myth arc ones. Yeah,
mostly. Yeah. This opening, I kind of had the same sort of feeling you did when I watched this, because what was nice about this sort of opening was that it gave you just enough that the best openings, in my opinion, aside from the Bugman one, which was just great. I want to see that Bugman right away. Is it gives you a tantalizing tease as to like what in the world's going to happen with the rest of the episode. Like, it's supposed to hook you. That opening intro is supposed to hook you, and this one certainly hooked me. And I was like, this has to deal with the mythology somehow. So I went into this being like, okay, why are they trying to kill this little kid? Who's this little kid? Why is this little kid killing this Russian? And yeah, I was into it.
And so immediately following the title screen, a couple of special forces guys parachute in the mountains where we know the cigarette smoking man is hanging out in his little shack.
Yeah. And why did he go there? Is he just there because like
he's supposed to be dead? Like he bled out. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the well-dressed gentlemen all wanted him dead. They assumed that he was dead, but he's actually in a shack. Unfortunately, the special forces that parachute in only bring in tiny little 9mm Glocks. That bugged me about it. It's like, no, you don't. When you go after the king, you don't bring the smallest firearm that you could find in the arms room to do it.
You got to tell that to Chris.
Well, I mean, they learned, because as soon as they get to the front door, one of them starts like turning the doorknob and gets shot. Gets fucking shotgunned straight through the door. Just kills him. The other spec ops guy, like, he's around back. He runs back around the front. Cigarette smoking man takes off through the snow, and he sees these like cartoonishly bloody footprints.
Yeah.
Leading away.
Like blood from, I guess he ran through the shotgun dude. That's what they're trying to say. Like, ran through all the blood, but it just seemed weird because at first I was like, did cigarette smoking man get shot? Is that why he's running? But no, I guess he just ran through a giant puddle of blood.
Kind of orangey blood.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like in 480p. But as he's getting chased, eventually cigarette smoking man, who's unarmed at this point, like, why did he leave his gun? Gets stopped. The other special forces guy peels off his mask. It's fucking Krychek again.
Yeah,
they're reaching back into the Krychek bucket.
That weasel. Krychek. It's always Krychek, Jeremy. It's always Krychek.
And he stops him, and he says, like, I'm not here to kill you. You killed that other guy for no. I'm not here to kill you. I'm here to bring you back.
They show up at Cigarette Smoking Man's cabin, guns drawn. Krychek's like, I'm not here to kill you, dude. I just need to bring you back. It's like, well, what?
Okay.
Could they just went up and knocked on his door? Like,
No,
not,
that guy tried, and he got shotgun through the door. That's what we don't get. It looked like he was reaching for the doorknob, but actually he was just very reticent to reach out and just go. So Skinner is tidying up Mulder's office, and he I guess he's stealing a fistful of X-Files. And Mulder comes into his office like, oh, it's one of those things where he's like, if you're tidying up my office, I must be getting shit canned or something like that.
Mulder's got to get a lock on his office door. Every time he shows up, someone's just there.
Yeah. Like Cigarette Smoking Man hangs out there every once in a while, hits play on his VCR. Like, yeah,
it's like the hangout. The FBI hangout. Remember in Aurora, there used to, right next to the principal's office in the high school, there was that little area where it was like a raised seat where everyone just hung out and ate runts because they had those little runts candy machines right next to it. That's like what Mulder's office is. Like, just everybody hangs out there.
Okay. I never saw a runts machine down there, but nobody was ever.
Remember that?
No, I'm talking about Mulder's office. Yeah,
okay.
I remember. Yeah, I remember that. Do I want to? No, I don't want to insert a very personal, embarrassing story here, so I'm gonna pass on that one. You could tell. Okay, you had mentioned that Chris Carter wrote this episode because we get these weird questions that people just randomly ask because Chris Carter just sprinkles that shit into these episodes. I guess Skinner's just waiting down in Mulder's office to ask him for no reason what he's trying to accomplish with his career. Like, why are you doing the X-Files? What fucking business is it? Like, it was weird.
Yeah.
But he puts him on to Agent Spender's investigation of the Russian chess guy because I guess Skinner knows something about it, but mostly it's just that the sniper was some former NSA agent, like deep cover black ops guy. So he's like, this is right up your alley, Mulder. You need to be a part of this investigation. So in classic Mulder fashion, Mulder busts into the investigation as a briefing is going on and immediately starts contradicting everything. You remember that episode where the plane crashed and the FAA or whatever dude is given the briefing and he just comes in there and just starts immediately talking shit about green aliens and stuff?
Yeah.
It was that.
And this is Spender's investigation. We saw Spender way back, I don't know which episode earlier this season he was in, but Spender hates Mulder. And specifically, I think Skinner even says, right, he's like, Spender doesn't want you involved in this at all. And then Mulder, he just walks in and he's like, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. I know the real story here. Listen to me.
Yeah, they're talking. It was that they were actually targeting the kid. Like, rewind the tape. Look as he sits down. As soon as he sits down, that bullet goes through where the back of his neck was and into the Russian guy. And there's just some random girl sitting there. It's like, oh yeah, precognitive warnings or something like that. I confirm that the weird shit he just said is absolutely true. Okay.
Spender's like, oh, damn it.
We cut to the cigarette smoking man is meeting with the well-dressed gentleman, and the Turkish guy for some reason isn't at the racetrack for once this season, watching TV or whatever it is he does all day every day. And they're like, you shouldn't have lived. You lost too much blood. But
yeah, they're shocked that he's still alive. But how'd they know he was alive to go have Krychek go get him? Like, it comes across that they all think he's dead, but how did they know where he was, and how did they know to send Krychek and the other guy to go bring him back if they thought he was dead?
Man, Chris Carter wrote this episode. So of course it happened that way because it needed to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, maybe they explain it down the line. I don't know. It seemed a little weird.
Do they?
Maybe I said maybe.
Spoilers? Do they?
I said maybe.
No, they don't. No, they don't. So, but they have a job for him, and they need him to go kill this boy. Like he looks at it, like, you want me to kill this child, and they're like, oh, nothing so brash.
Yeah.
Like they don't know what Cigarette Smoking Man is all about. They don't know why they brought him back.
He's like, you need me. You guys have never had the stomach to do what needs to be done.
So, next scene, for some reason, Mulder and Scully are in the car with the kind of hot older lady that was that had completely agreed and bought into Mulder's cock swinging assessment of the shooting. Like, I guess, you know, they just liked her vibe or something. They're going back to the hotel room. That's what my hope was. I would have watched that. But
that special agent, I think her name is Diana. It's actually played by Mimi Rogers. Mimi Rogers, fairly famous actress, was actually Tom Cruise's first wife, but she's very famous for a movie called Full Body Massage. And I'm sure that now that I say that, at some point, Jeremy, you're going to look up Mimi Rogers Full Body Massage, and you'll see kind of like why she was famous for a bit.
Because she looks great naked. I'm hoping that that's the answer.
I don't want to spoil anything for you.
All right, you know, we'll not be recording here in a minute, Matt.
Scully, of course, anytime there's another woman around that appears to have any kind of like chemistry with Mulder, she gets very jealous. just look it up right live on the air.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting at a computer. All right. So anyway, they got her in the back of the car, and I guess she had come back from. She's another agent, special agent. She was assigned to Germany. She came back to the United States around the time that the X-Files opened up, and it's weird. They kind of make it seem like she's there to monitor Fox, because they haven't established at this point that she's actually an ex of Fox's, and they actually really liked each other.
Yeah,
and she was like a paranormal investigator, or that was her specialty, or whatever. But at this point, it's just like, okay, she's an actress. We've seen her in other movies, and normally they bring people in like that for us to cast suspicion upon them as audience members. And no, they're actually going to go interrogate the kid. We find this little kid that was the chess prodigy. He's Gibson. Watching The Simpsons. His name's Gibson. He looks like he's from what was that movie with Tom Cruise in it? He was Human Brain, weighs 8 pounds. Jerry Maguire.
Oh yeah, it does look like that Jerry Maguire kid. Yeah, you're right.
And then the kid starts complaining. It's like, you guys got great TV here. I'm from the Philippines, and they only have Baywatch. Mulder sits down, and he's like, what's wrong with Baywatch? And the kid, without flinching, just stares him down and says, you have a dirty mind.
Like, great line.
Shut him down. And so the kid, like, as he's being shut down, Scully looks like she's just holding back laughter, and tells Gibson that his parents are coming soon. Gibson tells Mulder, is like, I'm not gonna play any more chess. And Mulder's like, okay. And he's like, I'm not gonna play with that cheap chessboard. And he pulls out this like electronic chessboard, and Mulder's kind of bummed about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not cheap. So, but he figures, and this is the classic Mulder, I've jumped to a conclusion, knows that this kid can read minds. He's not a chess prodigy. That's why he didn't want to play the electronic version, because he can't beat a computer. He can't predict what the computer is going to do.
Yeah. I like that. I like that little story flair right there. It was a nice little thing that Chris Carter put in there because it's like I didn't catch it at first when he's talking about the electronic thing and why he doesn't play it, but then like as the episode goes, I was like, oh, that's actually kind of clever. I'm trying to
Yeah.
give Chris Carter some props here.
You got to stretch it sometimes. So give them where they're due. The kid himself, he just starts talking about how, or the kid confirms that he could read all of their minds, and he straight up says that one of the two girls that brought with him are thinking about him, or that he's thinking about one of the girls,
Yeah,
and one of the girls are thinking about him too, but they don't want him to tell Mulder which one of it is, so he's not going to say.
yeah.
And the kid just turns around, or Mulder just turns around. This kid requires round the clock
Yeah.
protection.
I'm surprised Mulder didn't pull his piece and off the kid himself right there.
Just wow. Wow, man. And so Dana won't believe that the kid reads minds, playing the typical skeptical portion of it, but she wants to order a bunch of tests. And she's also like kind of like this new chick is kind of tromping on my interest in Mulder, though she's not. This entire season she hasn't really expressed it at all. There hasn't been a Mulder loving, not that I could find, that Mulder loving up on Scully and vice versa. You remember when they were out trapped in the water when Nessie was still running around?
Yeah.
That was kind of a semi-romantic moment. There's been none of that this season.
There was that episode early on where she starts singing like Jeremiah was a bullfrog to him. Remember when Mulder's like out in the woods? It was those weird like wood predator looking people, and they kind
The
of have
kid with the red eyes.
yeah, they kind of have a moment out there where she's kind of like cradling him and stuff. But I do remember at this point in time when this came out, kind of like the Mulder will they won't they thing was a huge deal because I do
Yeah.
remember watching the trailer for Fight the Future, and they have that moment where it looks like they're gonna kiss in the trailer, and everybody was talking about like, oh my god, are they gonna like get together or something in the movie? That was a whole big thing. But you are right. The vast majority of this season hasn't been lovey-dovey stuff, but it's been kind of like, hey, I'm kind of there for you. Like your kid literally just died, and but it hasn't been like, hey, we're gonna hook up or anything. Like not that sexual tension
Right.
that was.
So all of this stuff where Dana is mad at the ex or comes across as like really intimidated by the ex, just it makes Dana kind of seem weak as a character, as a person, and I wasn't keen on that.
Yeah.
But she was like, "You two know each other," and she's like, "Oh no, it was a long time ago." And it follows up by Agent Spender confronts Mulder about what he's doing with this kid, and Spender just gets told at this point,
Yeah.
like, you need to fucking be taking notes on what I'm doing here. There's been nothing but solid gold coming out of my ass for a long time, and I know that it had nothing to do with this Russian guy. It has everything to do with this kid. So either get on the fucking bus or get out of my way.
Yeah.
And then Mulder goes on to confront the assassin, because I guess he has to go through Spender to talk to the assassin who got arrested.
Yeah, it's because it's Spender's case.
Yeah, but it doesn't. That conversation with the assassin goes absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, and then Mulder, when he's leaving, he's just kind of like, I got his attention.
Yeah, it was that parting shot, but he hadn't really said anything of value to him. There was no gotcha there. It was one of those things.
It's a Chris
Carter thing.
Yeah. We both said it independently. It's a Chris Carter thing.
So
that was not planned, folks.
They go to testing Gibson, and he's just knocking out of the park. Like he's 10 for
Yeah.
10 on guessing what the cards are. He guessed it, what everybody had for breakfast. But then, like, while they're testing this kid, Scully just suddenly needs to disappear. She's like, I've got to go, and just storms out. Um, Cigarette Smoking Man sends a vague threat to, well, no, not a vague threat. Straight up just says, you're going to die,
Yeah.
written on the inside of a Marlboro package of cigarettes.
I like that's a Marlboro packaging, but it always says Morley. Because in the X Files universe, it's Morley cigarettes.
They just can't, I think they just
Yeah.
can't promote it. And so, and that was also a really, why would the Cigarette Smoking Man do that? Part of his shtick is you don't see it coming. So what is that about? Other than involving the actor that was the assassin?
Well, why did Emperor Palpatine tell the entire galaxy he was back at the beginning of episode 9, Jeremy? Bad writing. That's why.
I mean, yeah. But you got to remember that even before he announced that in episode 9, they did the whole thing in Fortnite.
In Fortnite, yeah. Why do you got to bring up old shit?
You started it. So, oh man, where am I? Okay, so Scully storms out, and she goes to see the lone gunman, and finds Frohickey in his pajamas. Apparently, all the lone gunmen just like
live together,
yeah,
together
in that building, and they all wear like just PJs.
Yeah, I mean, it could have just been Frohickey that answered. Like, why are all the rest of them like hanging out and awkwardly putting on clothing together? It was weird, very strange.
But she needs him to analyze the data about the kid to see, what about the brain scans are. Well, if you look with a supernatural sort of eye, what is going on there? And really, the reason that she's there is because she is suspicious of the woman. And they're like, no, she's an old girlfriend of his and she's a paranormal expert.
Yeah, well, I think it's Byers. He's like, I have no idea why they broke up. They were like a perfect couple. And it's funny because when you see Gillian Anderson when she's acting this, it's great. She just has this look on her face like, I'm gonna cut this bitch. I'm gonna cut her. Like,
but
nobody can have Mulder but me.
But the very next scene is she has the analyst data from the lone gunman. She goes back to wherever Mulder and his ex are, and he sees them like kind of very casually flirting, but they're holding one hand, not holding hands, but just like he takes his hand in hers in not a loving way, just kind of as a friendly way. Yep. And she sees it through the window and she's like, I gotta leave. And so she goes down to the parking garage and calls Mulder on the cell phone because she's got no fortitude to deal with that. And she's like, I've got a bunch of information to share at you, not over this phone call, but at work. And she's like, well, why can't you just? No, I just need you to come down to the office at work so you will be away from that woman. And jealousy. Says that he will be very surprised. And as she's about to leave, she sees Spender showing up to the hospital down in the parking garage where the kid's at. Cigarette Smoking Man shows up for no reason, kind of other than he loves his son, and he wants to.
We don't know that yet.
But that's the only reason I could figure he shows up. He's like, I want you to. He tells him to pursue his own self-interest.
Yeah.
Don't follow somebody else's crusade. Don't basically don't fall in with what Mulder is trying to do. Just keep on keeping on, man. And then Mulder comes out in the garage and sees Spender talking to somebody that's completely obscured by a car and a post.
Now, I don't think you could see this in 480p, but I noticed it very clearly in 1080. When you see Mulder come into the garage, it's kind of like a long shot. That's not David Duchovny. And then when you see the other shot, kind of like the long shot of Spender, that's not Spender. So I don't know if they did some insert stuff and some dubbing, but that was not Mulder coming out of that door. That was an imposter.
I did not see that in 480p. I
Yeah,
saw Mulder come out there.
yeah,
And
imposter.
so he starts running after him. No, somehow just knowing that that's cigarette smoking man that Spender is talking to, but Spender doesn't even know who he's talking to. He doesn't know that that
Yeah,
guy is part of the fucking conspiracy. It's just some dude that
yeah.
keeps showing up in his life.
He's kind of like behind that concrete
Yeah,
pillar. Like there's no way that Mulder could have even seen who he was talking to.
but he yells at Spender about it anyway. Um, then there's this whole big meeting that's not quite as big as the meeting was the other day with the horseshoe table where everybody was back to back, where Scully reveals to Skinner, to Mulder, to a bunch of other people that Gibson's brain scans are showing that he has special brain centers which may, allow him to do that are normally inert. That he is the real deal, that he could read other people's minds, and somehow that makes him the key to the X Files. All of the X Files. Not just some of them, not the myth arc ones, all of them. And
Now,
this,
no, go ahead and finish what you're saying because I have a major problem with this.
well, this is the balance between 16, 15, 16, 17-year-old me who heard that and was like, awesome, dude. We're going to crack this bitch wide open. And me being like, what? What does this kid have to do with Fluke Man? So go ahead, Matt. What do you
Okay,
got?
okay. So when Scully sets this up, when Gillian Anderson is giving her little monologue about this, I'm like, okay, this is all sounding interesting to me. How this is going, and then it gets to David Duchovny, Mulder, and Mulder's like, "This is the key to everything, everything,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, how?
How?
There's no explanation of how. It's just Mulder, and like they even go so far as they need to talk to like the U.S. attorney about all this, and Skinner says something like, "Are you willing to lose the X Files on this?" And he's like, "Call the U.S. attorney up right now. Like, how quickly can you call him?" And I'm sitting here thinking, like, what? How? Like, there's not even an inkling of like just not even a vague, like typically Chris Carter gives a vague bullshit
Oh,
reason for something.
there was a
There's
throwaway line, Matt. There was a
what?
throwaway line that I almost missed that you might have missed
I must have.
because Mulder started popping off that this is the key to the X Files. During that meeting, they say that this kid needs to be protected because he would, or he, with his mental telepathy abilities, he likely overheard something in somebody's brain that was state secrets. It wasn't those exact words, but that was the hint. And it was a throwaway line that this kid knows too much. That's why they're going after him before Mulder starts in on the rant shit. And that's the only
But
thing that makes sense to me.
but how does that solve all of the X Files? And why would the X Files be shut down? Because they mention in this whole thing, like, well, there's no need for X Files anymore with this kid. His brain unlocks everything. It's like there's no more need because the whole thing is Skinner's like, you're willing to get rid of the X Files for this kid? How does that? I mean, I can understand that makes sense to me, right? So this kid somehow overheard a state secret, but how does that? How does that solve the predator wood people running around in the forest earlier this season? Is it
And
simply like they can just like Gibson can be like the new partner of Mulder, and he can just go on these cases and just ask Gibson what's going on in this person's head that I'm trying to interrogate and find out what's real, what's not. Like I hated that. I hated this leap to Mulder just simply saying everything's solved, and I'm like, I don't understand how everything is solved. There was no link there. It wasn't it wasn't enough. A state secret is not enough for me to be like, how does that solve all of the X Files?
It doesn't.
It
But
doesn't.
other than he can read like he can, if he can read the minds of people that are keeping these secrets, the truth comes out. And I think that's they should have used the truth word at that point, where it's like
Yeah.
they can't hide the truth if this kid can just, say whatever is on their mind. That would have been acceptable. They didn't do that. And
Yeah.
so I'm with you at that point.
They should have said, like, Mulder should have been there, been like, the truth is out there. It's right there, and pointed at Gibson.
Yeah. No, I'm
That would have
with
been
you.
awesome. Okay.
But no.
Ah, hated this dialogue. Hated it.
And so they they're also going to use the testimony of the assassin by giving him immunity to tell people, what the kid is, because they've implied the actual assassin has never actually said out loud that the kid is an alien human hybrid, or why he actually was sent to kill the kid. It's just Mulder saying that, which
Yeah.
happens a lot. Mulder like will sit down with somebody and just tell them why everything's going on, because he's just clearly making some shit up and going on with his day. And but there, he's gonna provide him immunity. Apparently, the assassin is actually going to go along with it because he's now got that message from Cigarette Smoking Man that he's going to die. Completely unnecessary
Yeah.
on the Cigarette Smoking Man's behalf. CSM gets, or they find that the kid is the missing link, that the kid is part alien, and Spender is listening to this whole thing
Do
with
they
the
mention
assassin.
that? Do they mention that the kid's part alien? I,
Well,
I thought they just said like his genes are like all turned on or something. Like I don't think they ever mentioned alien.
I think they say it, but
Okay.
not with the assassin. He says it later with somebody. But
Okay.
anyway, as he leaves after telling the assassin everything that the assassin would, quote unquote, would have said to exonerate himself or testify, as he leads out or leaves, Spender just gets in Mulder's face and is like, "You're just being led by," and it Spender is making so much sense at this point, because we've had episodes, even all the way at the beginning of this season, where Mulder stops believing in shit
Yeah. That's the whole
because he's
scene.
been he's been led to believe this. And this comes across as the exact same thing, using the exact same tools, the exact same way. Nobody is saying anything to Mulder directly other than the vaguest of shit. And because Mulder's jumping to conclusions, he's doing what the well-dressed gentleman and the conspiracy want him to
Yeah.
do. Speaking of the well-dressed gentleman, they go back to the cigarette smoking man. They confront him, saying, You failed to do what you need to do, or what we asked you to do." And he's like, "No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm just clearing pieces off the board one at a time until it's completely cleared." Cuts
Cigarette
back.
Smoking Man's like a boss in this scene too, because he does not give a shit. Like Krychek's like, I can run him over right now. And then the well manicured man's like, we need him. Again, plot armor. Like, just kill these people, take them out. Nobody does it.
Oh yeah, was that the same scene where Krychek almost like dusts him with the
I think
car,
so. Yeah. And
like
I'm like,
right past him?
and it's like, when did Krychek? I guess I don't remember, because the part of the problem with like the Krychek character is he shows up so infrequently over multiple seasons that I often have a hard time remember what was the last thing that we saw Krychek do, or where was he? And I was like, when did he hook up with, what do they call the consortium or whatever, the syndicate or whatever they are? When did he hook up and start working with the well manicured man? Did we ever see that? He just is now.
The last one episodes that he was in was he was working with the Russians, and the blonde was before she got
Yes.
killed was working with. Yeah, so
Yeah, that
no,
Maria
there's no.
Covert movie. Yeah, and so I get confused because I'm like, and that's the thing that I don't get now that we did get when we used to watch this on television. They used to have previously on the X Files, and you would see like, oh, okay, yeah, 8 episodes ago, Krychek was doing blah 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 or whatever, and you don't get that now as I'm just kind of watching through. So it's much more difficult to remember what the hell was Krychek up to like 8 episodes ago.
Doing Krychek stuff,
Yeah,
of
doing
course.
Krychek stuff.
So Scully. Scully is hanging out with the kid in the hotel providing 24/7 protection. She asks him, how does he do it? And she ends up doing this whole thing where he's like, he doesn't care, or I don't know. What is it? She like Scully is the only person the kid has ever read their mind, that she doesn't care what anyone thinks except for Mulder.
Yes. Yeah.
And except no, I'm sorry, she doesn't care what anybody thinks except for Mulder's ex, not Mulder.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, we're doing this again. And then
This was a nice callback to oh god, what was the name of the episode a couple seasons ago with Clyde Bruckman's Final Repos? Remember where Scully's like, "Okay, how do you do it?" And she does it again with Gibbs, and she's like, "Okay, how do you do it?" So I don't know if Chris Carter intended that, but I did think that was kind of a fun callback to that prior episode a few seasons ago.
well, they have a cute little conversation about it, except for again, it's really just used to prop up that Dana has a problem with Mulder's ex.
Yeah.
And then Mulder's ex shows up to tag out with Dana in order to continue babysitting this kid. And then the kid gets Mulder's ex killed because Mulder's ex wakes up. She's like, "Oh my god, the kid I'm supposed to be watching," and he's standing at the window. And she's like, "No, don't stand at the window. There might be a sniper there." And he's like, "There is, but he's not trying to kill me. He's trying to kill you." And then she gets shot.
Yeah, this kid is a God,
Yeah,
this would be like the greatest serial killer in the world when this kid grows up. My goodness. I don't think she
uh,
dies though. I think she's still technically alive because they put her on a gurney and put her in and into the back of the ambulance. And I think they're like her breathing is real shallow.
yeah. It just seems I just wrote the note at the end of the scene. Like, this kid is such a dick. He's just getting
Yeah.
people shot. Like, he knew that the assassin wasn't there to shoot him. So he let that gal stand at the window to take a bullet.
And do you think that was Cigarette Smoking Man pulling the trigger on that? Because we've seen previous episodes where like he was going to shoot. Was it Mulder or the lone gunman or whatever, and he chose not to. Like he's good. He's a good
Well, I
sniper.
guess he would have had to, because the next scene that he's in, Cigarette Smoking Man has Gibson with him, and he turns him over to
That's
the
true.
well dressed gentleman in Krychek.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. So yeah.
He so the kid gets kidnapped. The assassin is dead in his cell at this point. Gibson or CSM turns Gibson over to the gentleman in Krychek, says his work is only beginning. Krychek at this point wants to finish Cigarette Smoking Man entirely, but he's like, no, he's still useful. So instead, he just threatens him with his car. They drove that car super close.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
they pulled in up close to Cigarette Smoking Man's face, but that car was just like right
Yeah.
by him.
It was real close, and the actor was great. He did not flinch or
Flinch,
anything.
nothing.
But yeah, that
Yeah,
was real close.
true professional, that
Yeah.
guy. And so this is the part for me that I totally bought when I was a kid. Another one of those parts, but now as an adult, I'm like, this was really kind of fucking stupid. I let myself enjoy it anyway, but Mulder goes and confronts Spender, super pissed off because everything is falling apart. They don't have the kid. They don't have the assassin. Mulder gets in Spender's face, starts calling him a fraud, saying he's going down for murder for working with the cigarette smoking man. Like, takes a swing at him, if I remember right. But Spender is not at all. Spender is doing what he needs to be doing as a normal agent. He wasn't even
Yeah.
really an important part of the story. It's just a convenient thing for Fox Mulder to take his anger and aggression out.
Yeah.
Justice Department starts threatening to close down the X-Files, and Scully tells Mulder in this really sad scene that he may have finally won. And Mulder fucked himself at this point because everything would have been fine up until the point where he should have been jailed for getting in or like fighting with Spender. And that's what it seems like in the end that he loses the X-Files for. In my child self, it's all about the conspiracy, and every time there's something that's going to crack this bitch wide open, the government is going to come in and shut the X-Files and shut him down so the truth doesn't actually get out. And then as an adult, I'm like, no, it's because he chose to fight with another agent and lost his job.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way,
Then
the Department of Justice can't shut down the X-Files. The FBI could. But the Department of Justice is a completely different agency. They can't just say, shut down this thing that you're doing. But I digress.
good to know. Words from the federales. Cigarette smoking man is again amongst the many people that just are standing down in Mulder's office eating lunch.
Jeez.
He steals a couple of files from Mulder's office, and then he's like, you can tell something. He's going to do something.
It was Samantha's X-File.
Oh, I did. In 480p, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it was Samantha Mulder's X-File, and I was like, man, he's just got that in with all the rest of them. I would figure like Mulder would have that somewhere else. You know, that would be a very special X-File. He just got it with all the rest.
What? Okay. I mean, he keeps his files in order and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. That one's very special. I would want it somewhere else, I think. Away from like the Fluke Man files.
Okay. Right. No, don't lie to me, Matt. You would have the Samantha and the Fluke Man file together somewhere special.
Fair. You know me too well.
There's and then as the cigarette smoking man's coming up an elevator, he runs into Spender again, tells him about Spender's future, and that he's his father. And right as he mentions that he's Spender's father, the fire alarms start going off in the building. You find out cigarette smoking man torched Mulder's office, completely destroying the X-Files because there's no electronic copies anymore. Then there's at the end of the episode, there's this sad moment where Scully shows up dressed for work. Mulder shows up dressed in his fucking pajamas. I actually wrote dressed in his jacking off at the porn theater clothes, and finds that his entire career is up in smoke.
Yeah.
She embraces him. He does not embrace her back.
No, he does.
It does this very beautiful, like, shot of the entire office having
like
been
crane.
charred.
Yeah,
That was a good shot. And then the episode ends.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, you can't hug her back. I mean, with all the help she's given you and all this, I mean, she's just as invested in some of this Mulder. But yeah, he's just arms straight down, doesn't even acknowledge her at all. All right, your thought on the end?
Loved it. Fantastic episode in a season that had a lot of. There was a lot of these over myth episodes that were continuations. And the first one in almost every case was good, and the second one was almost in every case just fucking terrible. And I just don't. I argued with my child self, argued with my adult self about a lot of the hokey shit that was going on in this episode, but I allowed my kid self to win the day, and just sit down and enjoy it for what it was, what it appealed to me as a child, and I loved it. I thought it was very, very good.
Okay. Yeah, I like this as well. Chris Carter, I don't know how he does it. he can write the dumbest bullshit that you could possibly imagine. Like, what? None of this makes any sense, Chris. Why are we doing it? But somehow it works. I can't explain it. I don't know. On certain episodes, it's just like, this works. I'm engaged in what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea why I like what's going on, but somehow it works. And this was an episode where I'm like, "Oh, I cannot wait to watch the movie now."
Right.
Like, I am all on board. I was going to ask you that question because earlier in the season you're like, "Yeah, I don't know if I want to watch the movie." Does this episode make you want to
Oh,
watch the movie?
oh it is whet my appetite 100%.
Okay, cool, cool. So we will talk about the movie 2 episodes from now. So next episode, next Friday, will be our top 5 best and worst of the season, and then we'll roll into the movie after that. But yeah, this is a cool episode. Liked it quite a bit. Let's talk about some fun facts before we wrap up. Originally, the 5th season of The X Files was supposed to be its last, and the end would have segued the series into a movie franchise. David Duchovny explained, quote, "We were saying, okay, we're going to do 5. We'll get out of here at 5. And then 5 came around and no one was going anywhere," unquote. This is largely because the series was so lucrative for Fox that 2 additional seasons were ordered. Thus, the end had to segue into both the X Files movie as well as the 6th season premiere, the beginning, which is kind of what Jeremy was discussing at the top of the episode. Near the beginning of the episode, Praise plays a Russian grandmaster at chess. The complete X Files notes that the chess motif is weaved throughout the episode, perhaps most symbolically in the way the cigarette smoking man plays Mulder to a checkmate using Jeffrey as a pawn. Because of this and his past actions, many fans finally came to believe that the smoking man was the true villain of the story. William B. Davis, who played the smoking man, however, felt that the character was the hero. He noted, quote, "I used to go to conventions and try to convince everyone that I was the hero of the series and Mulder was a bad guy. I got a lot of laughs, but it's certainly true of how one plays the character. Nobody thinks they're evil," unquote. I think we can see that in modern day right now. Casting and filming. The episode introduced 2 new characters in Gibson Praise, played by Jeff Golka, and Diana Fowley, portrayed by Mimi Rogers. By the way, I just want to praise Gibson Praise because I think he did a really good job as a kid. Like, normally kid actors, it's kind of like, I don't know, but I thought he did a pretty good job.
Oh, he
Uh,
nailed that line calling Mulder out for being a pervert, and it never
yeah,
stopped being good after.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Kim Manners later said of Golka, quote, "There was something about that kid's personality that really came off on screen. He really exuded an intelligence that was pretty special. Chris saw what Bob Goodwin did with him, and he knew that this kid was a special storytelling tool for the Chronicle of the X-Files." Chris Carter said that Fowley, quote, "was a character you were destined to hate because she was a competitor for Mulder's affection with Scully." Gillian Anderson said, quote, "She didn't make it easy on Scully. I think she was aware of her effect on Mulder and on the situation," unquote. Now, what's interesting about that sort of fact is I never got the sense watching this that the X was like super trying to like vie for Mulder's attention over Scully. She just seemed very professional to me. Did you get a sense that she was like trying to kind of like take Mulder away from Scully or anything?
No, because there was a girl that there's a couple of different girls in a couple of previous episodes I remember
Bambi.
that were sleazing on Mulder a little bit. But this girl was just like validating what he said, what he was saying during like professional moments in meetings.
Yeah.
But there was not a I did not get that they were trying to rekindle a flame.
Right, right. This episode was the last to be filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, until the show's 10th season in 2015. The show moved to Los Angeles for its 6th through 9th seasons, a move influenced in part by David Duchovny's desire to be closer to his wife. The audience at the chess match was made up of local fans as a way of saying thanks to the city for hosting production during its first 5 years. That's kind of fun. The chess match was filmed at Rogers Arena, then known as GM Palace, then the home of the Vancouver Canucks as well as the Vancouver Grizzlies. And while the producers expected 5,000 people to show up, 12,000 appeared. And during breaks between shooting, actors Duchovny and Anderson answered questions for the audience, and thousands of dollars worth of equipment was raffled off. In order to properly send off the Vancouver crew, Chris Carter personally directed the second unit filming for this episode. So there you go. Kind of interesting to learn that this was intended to be the end of the television series of the X Files. What I guess what do you think of that? Do you feel like this would have been a good sort of send off and then just do movies afterwards? Or do you think, no, they need to keep this a series going forward?
If it was fully intended the entire time, the entire season 5, that this was going to be the end with the movie capping it off, I think it would have been not as bad as Game of Thrones ending was. I think it would have been very not as bad as even the Sopranos final episode was, but I feel it would have been as divisive as the end of the Sopranos would have been if people would have watched the
Yeah.
movie and said, okay, this is me saying goodbye to a television show I've loved for a really long time.
Yeah. I think it would all come down to the movie. Like, if the movie wrapped up everything great, then I think people could have possibly lived with it. If the movie kind of fell on its face, then I think it would have been super, super divisive. Because we knew this whole season it was leading up to a movie. Like, everybody knew the X Files movie was coming out, and there was so much excitement for what was going to be in that movie. But we'll talk about that in a couple weeks.
Another time.
So, with that, thanks everybody for listening to another episode of Exhuming the X-Files here on the Outpost Unknown YouTube channel. Hit that like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. What did you guys think of the end of Season 5? Stay tuned next Friday. We're going to talk about our overall recap of Season 5 and then give our best, our top 5 and best and worst episodes of Season 5. So stay tuned for that, and we will see you then. Take it easy, everybody.